Angel Graveyard.
The gothic horror of Bloodborne has got to be one of the worst brands to overlay on top of Mario Kart, and it's because of, and not despite that fact, that this game rules as hard as it does. The dissonance that comes from our bloody, plague-ridden pseudo-London getting turned into 3-lap racetracks is hilarious. There's more than just laughs in this fan game though, even though I guess it's technically not a fan game anymore. A cease and desist from Sony has morphed the game formerly known as Bloodborne Kart into its new legally distinct cousin, Nightmare Kart, and it's come out the other side of that brand removal with the spirit of the project still intact. Maybe the small upside of that legal action is that Nightmare Kart lives in places Bloodborne Kart never could, official game distribution platforms like Steam and itch. I hope it means more people play Nightmare Kart. It rules. Don't expect your next evergreen kart racer out of this one, it's retained its fan game price of $0, and you inherit a fan game scope along with it. But that scope is aimed well. Online multiplayer, high level quantity, and a Grand Primo that strings those levels together may not have made the cut, but in their place is what makes Nightmare Kart unique. A short but dense campaign that's flavorful as hell and filled to the brim with way more creativity than the premise of this thing suggests. The nightmare begins again, and as the hunter awakens from a misty dream, he's unwillingly made a participant in the races. There's a little over a dozen possible tracks, depending on how you count them, and they are glorious. They ditch the usual theme jumping that defines your average kart track lineup, and instead focus on cohesion. A big spooky Eye of Sauron looking clock tower can be seen somewhere on the horizon in most levels, and it acts as a subtle visual indicator of where the tracks are in relation to each other. Because Nightmare Kart is a singular place, Miralodia, and the streets that exist around it, the sewers that exist beneath it, the clock towers that exist inside of it, and the spooky dream worlds that probably exist because of it. There's a great atmosphere that brings Miralodia to life, and also works to enable Nightmare Kart's consistent reinforcement of just how hilarious the experience is. There's one joke in Nightmare Kart, and it's a damn good one. People with cages for faces should not be on motorcycles, nor should spooky werewolves be driving over power-ups. The campaign is only 90 minutes long to get the hell out before the joke gets old, and it squeezes a ton of mileage out of it. You'll get a spooky cutscene of a demon's jaw that looks like it's ready to unhinge, and then bam, hard cut to his motorcycle. It's funny every time, as is bosses transitioning to phase 2. There's just something about getting a new health bar while you're in a cart that's just absolutely peak. The actual races themselves are governed by a standard driving and drifting system, with the Nightmare Kart equivalent of purple sparks being long drifts that convert into a consumable boost. There's reskinned versions of blue shells and banana peels, but the contents of the item blocks are largely guns, each with different ranges and ammo counts. Couple that with a really powerful handbrake that lets you turn 180 degrees on a dime, and you have the foundations for what is just as much a vehicle combat game as it is a vehicle racing game. The campaign has just as many arena-based battle levels as it does racing levels, with varying objectives like capture the flag and good old elimination. The experience of moving through the campaign is diverse and fast-paced because of the constant alternation of modes, levels, and the complete refusal to reuse anything, which makes it extra enticing to take advantage of the fact that it's New Game Plusable as well. But Nightmare Kart's best aspect isn't a function, it's a vibe. The game plays in 4x3 and defaults to a CRT filter and some texture flickering on the edges of those polygons. It keeps the view distance short to emulate that old style as well, which also ties into the spooky atmosphere. It nails that nostalgic feeling, but it stops short of just being a fluffy nostalgia bait game by virtue of how unique it actually is. The subtle genius in a Bloodborne kart racer is that the game being homaged is a totally different genre. Kart racers are as far as you can get from Bloodborne, that's the joke after all, and the graphical style created here is like 4 console generations removed from it as well. Despite thematically being a clear and candid Bloodborne fan game, Nightmare Kart is its own thing. It's a replayable, campaign-focused kart combat racer that grounds its track designs within the square mileage of a singular city. It plays great, drives great, and fills that story mode with tons of level variety. The premise might be one big joke, but the final product isn't. It's just a good game.